All right, guys, I have a confession to make. I hate player-led podcasts. I understand it's ironic coming from me, somebody who has hosted a player-led podcast. I've produced several, but I'm over it. If anything, I feel responsible, and all of my ego and self-centeredness, I feel like it's my fault. So, if nothing else, I'm here to apologize because these have absolutely jumped the shark. They went left field. They've gone off the reservation, whatever. They stink now. Which once was, I thought, a medium where we would get interesting perspectives and insights and great stories from players and from a perspective only they can offer, has now turned into just gossiping and attention seeking, and it's almost ruining my experience as a sports fan. Like, just for instance, this week, Asante Samuel decided to just trash Cam Newton and say he only had one good year. And I'm not even really defending Cam Newton that much. Like, I'm not the biggest Cam Newton fan, and he's kind of responsible for what I'm talking about now with these podcasts and these shows. But he just thrashed him out of nowhere. Now, I wasn't quite sure why, but I knew for a fact there's a podcast here somewhere. Sure enough, Asante Samuel has a podcast, and when he's done thrashing Cam Newton, he wants you to make sure you subscribe, comment, rate, and all that good stuff, because you got to see the Asante Samuel podcast. And that's what I mean. That should not be the reason I'm showing up to hear what Asante Samuel has to say about the NFL. Not only was he a great corner in his own right, his son was also a good corner. He has a ton of insight from a position I know almost nothing about. Would be dope to hear him talk about covering some of the best in the league or what he's seeing out there in this year's league. That maybe he does do that, but this is how he gets the attention. And that's the content cycle, right? We don't give as much attention to praise as we do to arguing. You want to get a lot of retweets and likes on Twitter? Say something people aren't going to like, because that's what's going to carry. If you just say the most basic thing, or you tell us how you enjoy a thing, or you tell us something simple like Tom Brady was really good, nobody's going to argue that. Now, if you want to say Drew Brees is better than Tom Brady, welcome to being viral. Here are your 17 Elon bucks for the year. And that's really the problem with podcasts. You look at somebody like Draymond Green, who almost exclusively says negative things on his show. Whether he's saying Mark Williams needs to fight better or Paul George needs to podcast even through the trauma, which is like terrible advice for somebody who's supposed to be keeping basketball his main 9-to-5 gig and podcasting this cool little thing he does on the side. And that's what we get. We're prioritizing the podcast drama over the game. And it's just another kind of insight on the sports fan in the 2020s. I don't really care about games. I need to know what Pat Beverly and Jason Williams are saying about Klay Thompson dating Meg Thee Stallion for some reason. I need to hear Gilbert Arenas talk about how Kevin Durant doesn't have a family, so now he's good at basketball. That's what really gets the numbers up, I guess. I don't get it. It's losing me as a fan. I'm not understanding why this is the draw, not only for these athletes to do these shows, but the producers and everybody else. It's just stupid. I hate it. Can we go back to watching games? Can we go back to talking about games? I look at a show like Club 520 and they say a lot of dumb shit too, don't get me wrong. But they're just entertaining. They talk about the games and the players they like, and they tell old stories, and it's funny. That's what we should get from these shows. I don't really want to see Kenyon Martin rank 900 power forwards and say why they're all better than Draymond. I don't need that. I don't know what the future holds for this. There's a lot of podcast business that's popping right now, but a lot of people feel like the podcast bubble has popped in general. When I look at sports podcasts, I don't know where that's going or where that fits into that. The biggest sports podcast in the world, depending on who you ask, might be The Kelsey Show, and the biggest episode of The Kelsey Show ever was Taylor Swift. But the other biggest episode of The Kelsey Show ever was Jason Kelsey's wife, who now has her own show. It's not like audiences are tuning in for this. If anything, these are just social media moments. And if these guys just want social media moments, they could just post on social media. Last year, you had Gilbert Arenas having some talk about what exactly his contract was, and you're kind of watching the machinations of that network change as they're building in the Skip Bayless show and a football show and all these other things. It's fascinating to watch. If you watch and you pay attention, and again, as somebody who has produced these shows, you notice a lot of scaling back with a lot of this stuff. I don't know what the future holds. All I know is I don't like this version of it. Maybe this speaks to a larger point about sports content in general. I think sports content has gone to the wayside. What will they do now? I don't know, because now we've raised a generation of fans who are there for that and root for their guy and here to win online arguments and not necessarily enjoying the game. I just want to watch games. And I think that's what I'm going to do from now on.